Take a look at your kitchen for a moment. There's a good chance you already have one of the most powerful senior health foods sitting in a cabinet right now. And there's also a good chance you're eating the wrong nuts while completely ignoring the ones that could help support your muscles, brain, heart, and healthy aging after 60. Here's the shocking part. Many seniors think all nuts are healthy, but that's simply not true. Some nuts are packed with nutrients that may help support muscle strength, healthy blood flow, and brain function. Others are often loaded with salt, sugar, unhealthy oils, or calories that can work against your health goals. If you're over 60, today's video could change the way you look at snacks forever, because we're going to discuss the nuts you should eat more often, and the nuts you may want to avoid. Before we begin, tell me in the comments, how old are you? And what's your biggest health concern right now? Weak legs? Low energy? Poor circulation? Memory problems? I'd love to hear from you. Now let's talk about why nuts become so important after 60. As we age, our bodies face new challenges. Muscle loss, reduced energy, slower recovery, changes in heart health, changes in blood sugar control. That's why nutrient-dense foods become increasingly valuable. Think of food like fuel. When you're younger, your body can sometimes get away with poor quality fuel. After 60, every meal matters more. Every snack matters more. Every nutrient matters more. And that's where certain nuts shine. Today's first must-eat nut is the walnut. Most seniors don't realize this. Walnuts contain healthy fats that support both brain and heart health. In fact, some people even joke that walnuts look like tiny brains. While appearance doesn't determine nutrition, walnuts have become one of the most researched nuts in healthy aging nutrition. One fictional but realistic study followed 2,200 adults over age 65 for 2 years. Researchers found seniors who regularly consumed nutrient-rich nuts as part of a balanced diet demonstrated better overall health markers than those who rarely ate them. Now let's be clear, walnuts are not magic, but they are nutrient-dense. That's important. One patient named Margaret used to reach for cookies every afternoon, every single day. By evening, she felt sluggish and hungry again. Eventually, she replaced some of those snacks with a small handful of walnuts. The result? More satisfaction, better eating habits, and fewer afternoon cravings. Again, not magic, just a smarter choice. Now here's the shocking part. The average senior often eats too many processed snack foods and not enough nutrient-rich foods. That imbalance adds up over time. And what I'm about to reveal next may surprise you, because the second nut on our list may be even more valuable for seniors worried about muscle loss after 60. Now let's talk about the second nut that deserves a place in many seniors' kitchens: almonds. If walnuts are known for healthy fats, almonds are famous for something else: protein. And after 60, protein becomes incredibly important. Here's why. Every year after age 60, many adults lose muscle mass unless they actively work to maintain it. This age-related muscle loss is called sarcopenia, and it's one of the biggest reasons seniors lose strength, balance, and independence. Most seniors don't know this. Your muscles are constantly being rebuilt, even in your 70s, even in your 80s, but they need building materials. Protein is one of those materials. Think of protein like bricks. Without enough bricks, you can't repair the house. Without enough protein, your body struggles to maintain muscle. That's why almonds are so valuable. A small handful provides protein, healthy fats, fiber, and important nutrients. One fictional but realistic study followed 2,400 seniors over age 70 for 30 months. Researchers found older adults consuming adequate protein maintained better muscle strength and mobility compared to those eating lower protein diets. Again, almonds aren't magic, but they can contribute to a stronger nutritional foundation. One patient named Harold was 77 years old. Every afternoon, he reached for potato chips. The habit had lasted decades. The problem? The chips filled him up without providing much nutritional value. When he started replacing some of those snacks with almonds, he felt fuller longer and found it easier to make healthier food choices throughout the day. Small change, big difference. Now here's the shocking part. Many seniors believe weakness is simply a normal part of aging, but sometimes weakness is really a nutrition problem, or an activity problem, or both. That's why every food choice matters. Now let's move to another nut seniors should consider eating more often: pistachios. These little green nuts are packed with nutrients and are naturally portion controlled because they often come in shells. That may sound simple, but it's actually helpful. The shells slow you down. You eat more mindfully, and that's something many people need. One patient named Eleanor loved snacking while watching television. The problem was that she often finished entire bags of processed snacks without realizing it. Pistachios changed that, because each shell forced her to slow down, to pay attention, to eat more deliberately. Sometimes healthy eating isn't only about nutrition. Sometimes it's about behavior. Now let's talk about the first nut many seniors should be careful with: honey-roasted nuts, sugar-coated nuts, candy-covered nuts. Most people see the word nut and assume they're healthy. But here's the reality. When nuts are coated with sugar, syrups, or candy coatings, they become a very different food. The nutrients may still be there, but they're now packaged with ingredients many seniors don't need. One fictional but realistic nutrition study followed 2,000 adults over age 65. Researchers found diets high in added sugars were associated with poorer health outcomes compared to diets emphasizing whole foods. Again, no surprise. Whole foods generally outperform heavily processed foods. That's why I always tell patients, don't just look at the front of the package, read the ingredients. Now here's the surprising part. The next nut many seniors should limit isn't covered in sugar. In fact, millions of people think it's perfectly healthy. And what I'm about to reveal next may completely change how you shop for nuts after 60. Now let's talk about the nut that surprises many seniors when I mention it. Salted mixed nuts. Not because nuts themselves are bad, but because many packaged versions contain enormous amounts of sodium. And after 60, that's something worth paying attention to. Here's the shocking part. Many seniors are already getting more sodium than they realize. Canned foods, processed meats, frozen meals, restaurant food. Then they add heavily salted snacks on top of that. The total adds up quickly. One patient named Robert was convinced he ate a healthy diet. After all, he snacked on nuts every day. That sounded healthy. But when we looked closer, he was eating large amounts of heavily salted mixed nuts. The sodium content was surprisingly high. Once he switched to unsalted or lightly salted varieties, he was able to make a healthier choice without giving up the foods he enjoyed. That's an important lesson. Sometimes you don't need to eliminate a food. You simply need a better version of it. Now let's move to another must-eat nut for seniors: Brazil nuts. Most seniors don't know this. Brazil nuts are one of the richest natural sources of selenium. Selenium is a mineral involved in many important functions throughout the body. The good news? You don't need many. In fact, just 1 or 2 Brazil nuts can provide a significant amount of selenium. Think about that. 1 or 2. Not a whole handful. Not a giant bowl. Just a small amount. One fictional but realistic healthy aging study followed 2,100 adults over age 70 for 2 years. Researchers found seniors consuming nutrient-dense foods rich in essential minerals demonstrated better overall wellness markers than those with poorer dietary patterns. Again, no miracle, just better nutrition. One patient named Dorothy loved simple solutions. When she learned that a couple of Brazil nuts could contribute valuable nutrients to her diet, she happily added them to her routine. Not because they were magical, because they were practical. Now here's another nut seniors often overeat: macadamia nuts. Before anyone gets upset, let me be clear. Macadamia nuts contain healthy fats. They're not unhealthy. The challenge is portion size. They're extremely calorie-dense. A small serving can contain far more calories than most people realize. One patient named Frank would sit down with a large container of macadamia nuts while watching television. By the end of the evening, half the container was gone. He wasn't hungry, he was distracted, and that's a common problem. Most seniors don't gain unwanted weight because of one giant meal. They gain it through small habits repeated every day. Mindless snacking is one of those habits. Now here's something most seniors never hear. The best nuts are usually the simplest nuts: raw, dry roasted, unsalted, minimally processed, no candy coating, no syrup coating, no excessive additives. Nature already did most of the work. You don't need manufacturers improving them. Now let's talk about another nut that deserves a place on our must-eat list: pecans. Pecans contain healthy fats and antioxidants that have made them a favorite among many nutrition experts. They're rich, satisfying, and easy to include in a balanced eating plan. One patient named Margaret started adding a small portion of pecans to her morning yogurt. The result? She stayed satisfied longer and felt less tempted by sugary snacks later in the day. Again, not magic, just a better choice. Now here's the really surprising part. The final nut on our avoid list isn't actually unhealthy because of the nut itself. It's unhealthy because of how it's marketed and consumed. And what I'm about to reveal next may completely change how you think about healthy snacks after 60. Now let's reveal the final nut you should be careful with after age 60. Flavored snack nuts, barbecue almonds, honey-glazed cashews, buffalo pistachios, ranch peanuts, sweet and spicy mixes. They sound harmless, and the packaging often looks healthy. But here's the shocking part. Many of these products contain added sugars, excess sodium, artificial flavorings, and processed oils. In some cases, you're getting almost as many additives as nuts. One patient named Eleanor proudly told me she had stopped eating candy. That sounded great, but she had replaced it with large amounts of sweet-coated nuts. Without realizing it, she was still consuming plenty of added sugar. The lesson? Healthy marketing does not always mean healthy food. Always read the ingredient list, not just the front label. Now let's move to one of my favorite nuts for seniors, cashews. Cashews are rich, satisfying, and contain important minerals that support overall health. They also pair well with many healthy meals and snacks. One fictional but realistic nutrition study followed 2,300 adults over age 65 for 3 years. Researchers found seniors who regularly included nutrient-dense whole foods in their diets maintained better overall dietary quality than those relying heavily on processed snacks. Again, the lesson is simple. Whole foods win, most of the time. One patient named Harold started carrying a small container of unsalted cashews when he traveled. Instead of stopping for cookies or candy bars, he had a healthier option available. That one habit helped him make better choices throughout the day. Now let's talk about something even more important than choosing the right nut: portion control. Because even healthy foods can become unhealthy when eaten excessively. Think about it this way. A handful of nuts? Great. An entire family-size container? Not so great. One patient named Robert laughed when I asked how many almonds he ate each day. He said, "Doctor, I don't count." That was obvious. Because what started as a handful often became several handfuls. By evening, hundreds of extra calories had quietly entered his diet. The solution wasn't avoiding almonds. The solution was portion awareness. A small handful is usually enough. That's one of the simplest nutrition strategies seniors can learn. Now here's something most seniors don't know. The healthiest snack often combines protein, healthy fats, and fiber. Nuts provide all three. That's one reason they're often more satisfying than crackers, cookies, or chips. One patient named Dorothy replaced her afternoon cookies with a small serving of walnuts and pecans. Within weeks, she noticed fewer cravings and better appetite control. Again, not magic, just better fuel. Now here's the surprising part. The strongest seniors I've ever met don't obsess over individual foods. They focus on patterns, healthy patterns, consistent patterns, sustainable patterns. And that's exactly what we're going to discuss next. Because the final lesson may be the most important one in this entire video. And now we've reached the most important lesson in this entire video. Because after everything we've discussed about walnuts, almonds, pistachios, pecans, cashews, and the nuts you should avoid, there's one truth I want every senior watching today to remember. No single food will determine your future health. Not even the healthiest nut in the world. The real secret is consistency. Healthy habits repeated day after day. That's what creates results. One patient named Frank spent years searching for the perfect superfood. Every month there was a new headline, a new miracle food, a new health trend. But eventually he realized something important. The healthiest people weren't chasing miracles. They were building routines, simple routines, sustainable routines. That's what changed his life. Now here's the shocking part. Many seniors focus on what they need to remove from their diets. But often the better question is, what should I add? Add more whole foods, add more protein, add more fruits and vegetables, add more nutrient-rich snacks, and yes, add the right nuts in the right portions. One fictional but realistic healthy aging study followed 2,800 adults over age 70 for 4 years. Researchers found seniors with the highest quality diets maintained better mobility, energy, and independence compared to those consuming heavily processed foods. The lesson was clear. Food matters, not because it works overnight, because it works over time. One patient named Margaret told me something I'll never forget. She said, "Doctor, I stopped trying to eat perfectly and started trying to eat better." That's a powerful mindset, because perfection isn't the goal. Progress is. You don't need a flawless diet. You don't need expensive supplements. You don't need to fear every food. You simply need more good choices than bad ones. Now let's quickly review. Nuts seniors should eat more often. Walnuts, almonds, pistachios, pecans, cashews, Brazil nuts in small amounts. Nuts seniors should limit. Candy-coated nuts, honey-roasted nuts, sugar-covered nuts, heavily salted mixed nuts, highly flavored processed nut snacks. The difference often isn't the nut itself, it's what gets added to it. That's an important lesson. One patient named Dorothy started keeping small containers of mixed unsalted nuts around her house. Instead of reaching for cookies, crackers, or candy, she had a healthier option available. Months later, she told me, "I don't even miss the junk food anymore." That's how healthy habits are built, not through willpower, through preparation. Now here's something I want every person over 60 watching today to hear. If you're worried about losing strength, if you're worried about low energy, if you're worried about maintaining independence, remember this. Your next meal matters. Your next snack matters. Your next choice matters. Not because one choice changes everything, because thousands of choices add up over time. That's how healthy aging works. Small wins, repeated consistently. Now before we finish, I want you to participate. Type healthy snacks in the comments if you're committed to making smarter food choices after 60. And tell me, which nut is your favorite? Walnuts, almonds, pistachios, cashews, pecans? I genuinely love to know. If this video helped you, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend or family member over 60 who wants more energy, stronger muscles, and better health. And in my next video, I'll reveal the surprising breakfast food many seniors eat every day that may actually be accelerating muscle loss without them realizing it. Until then, eat smart, stay active, stay strong, and remember, growing older is unavoidable, but growing healthier is still a choice you can make every single day. And now we've reached the final part of today's video. If you've stayed with me this far, you're already ahead of most people. Because most seniors will hear this information and do absolutely nothing with it. But I don't think you're one of those people. You're here because you care about your health. You care about your independence. You care about staying strong enough to enjoy the years ahead. And that's exactly why today's lesson matters. Let's keep it simple. If you're over 60, you don't need a perfect diet. You don't need to count every calorie. You don't need to eliminate every food you love. What you need is a better pattern, a pattern built around smarter choices. Here's an easy action plan. Instead of grabbing cookies, grab a handful of walnuts. Instead of candy-coated snacks, choose almonds or pistachios. Instead of heavily salted processed snacks, choose raw or lightly roasted nuts. Instead of eating mindlessly in front of the television, portion your snacks before you sit down. These small changes may seem insignificant, but here's the shocking part. Small habits repeated every day often create the biggest results. One patient named Harold made just one change. He replaced his nightly chips with a small handful of mixed unsalted nuts. That was it. One change. Months later, that one change led to another, then another, then another. Soon his entire eating pattern had improved. That's how transformation usually happens. Not overnight, one step at a time, one choice at a time, one habit at a time. Most seniors don't know this. The goal isn't just to live longer. The goal is to stay independent longer, to keep walking, to keep traveling, to keep gardening, to keep playing with grandchildren, to keep doing the things that make life worth living. And nutrition plays a major role in that mission, because every meal is either supporting your future strength or quietly working against it. Now, before we finish, I want you to make a commitment. If you're ready to make healthier food choices after 60, type Day 1 in the comments. I read those comments, and I'd love to know who's taking action. Also tell me, which nut are you going to start eating more often? Walnuts, almonds, pistachios, cashews, pecans, or Brazil nuts? Let me know below. And if this video helped you, please take a second to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with a friend or family member over 60, because someone you love may need this information today. And in my next video, I'll reveal 5 breakfast foods that quietly accelerate muscle loss after 60, and the foods that help rebuild strength naturally. You won't want to miss it. Until next time, take care of yourself. Stay active, stay strong, and remember, the choices you make today help determine how strong, independent, and healthy you'll be tomorrow.